Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creativity Hive's weekly show. My name is Miriam Haugen. I am part of the Creativity Hive team. We help budding videographers achieve massive post-production skills through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching, primarily in Premiere Pro and After Effects. And today we have our Premiere Pro geek, Neil Haugen, here. And you're going to show us some stuff about this speech to text, right?
Right. Well, one of the things that's always been a problem when dealing with, like, say, especially interviews, things like that, especially, is getting a way to edit it efficiently. And frequently that has meant that you've had to sit there and listen to an interview several times in a row, take down notes of what's being said, where make markers on your sequence and everything, and put a name to them, or do cuts to make subclips, and that sort of thing. And so I had even gotten fairly good. If you hold, you have the J, K, and L keys for moving through a sequence in Premiere. K stops, and J moves backwards. You look at the J, K, L keys on an English keyboard, and think of putting your middle finger on the K. Then your index finger moves you backwards, and your ring finger moves you forward. And if you hold a modifier key down, I think it's like Alt or something like that, while you're doing this, you get like 10% increments. So you can be going, rather than double speed, you could be going at like 50% faster or whatnot. And so you can speed things up a little bit, but then people are talking like this, and it can at times be really hard to figure out what's going on because people are talking so fast you can't really tell what's going on. And
you did that very well.
Yeah. Well, and then of course the other thing is we need captions. It's really good if you can have captions for anything you're putting out on YouTube, even, let alone for broadcast. And years ago, Adobe had a speech recognition part in Premiere Pro that they took out because they figured it was not that good. Well, it was a heck of a lot better than nothing, I can tell you. And I was really bummed when they took it out because, yeah, you had to do a fair amount of correcting, but it got 90% of it, right?
Right.
And 90% is better than nothing. And they took that out back about 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, and said they weren't sure if it would ever come back. Well, they finally last year came back with speech to text capability, and it's been really wondrous to work with. I use it not only because you can make captions with it, which subtitles for your YouTube and whatnot, which is really nice, but when a lot of the stuff that I actually shoot for us to use and work with is actually more of an interview kind of thing, or it's B-roll with people talking about something that I've got showing, like the guy with his drag racer or whatnot, and so you want to find the sections that you want to use of what they've said, and you're not going to use the whole thing, right? Well, speech to text allows you to have Premiere transcribe out a clip or a sequence, and then you can look through it on the screen in Premiere. You can even actually have it printed out so that you can sit there and look at your printout and mark the places you want to use, and then go back, and then you can see where the comments are in your time code. You can go back into Premiere and just quickly move to those places and cut out the pieces you want. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and it's really pretty easy to do. So I suppose at this time I should probably share my screen.
That would be awesome.
And we think it should be screen 3. Yes, that should be the one. Okay, now here we have me. I'm setting up in this situation. I'm just actually setting up to do a test check of for a Premiere practical Premiere tutorial I'm working on, but it'll work great for a little demonstration. Now, you notice I'm in what is called the although it's not showing on the bar up here at the current time, I'm in what is listed in their situation as the captions and graphics workspace. I have so many of my personal saved workspaces. I've got 9 saved workspaces showing up here, so that this is over in the overflow, but it's their captions and graphics workspace. And we've got the program monitor here with our image. We have, of course, the essential graphics here, because this is, of course, where you do all kinds of graphics and captions and everything. So you've got the browse and the edit panel. Well, there's nothing to edit right now because, of course, we haven't done anything yet. But over here is the fun one. It's the text panel. And in the text panel, you notice at the top it says transcribe sequence. Now, people are asking if they could get it so that you could transcribe clips in a bin because they don't want to have to transcribe sequences. Well, the way because right now you can only transcribe what is a sequence in a timeline panel. You can't just take a clip in a bin and tell it to transcribe. So the way I get around this is I just make a sequence of every clip that I want to transcribe if I want to transcribe it separately from a sequence. And that way I've got, the time code, and I can go in and I can still do my cutting and adding things back and forth without any problem. So with the clip selected here that I want to use, let's just take a quick little here.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Practical Premiere. Now, first thing we should probably get it handled here is, why should you trust me rather than anyone else you see on the YouTube or wherever else you go to look at these sorts of things?
So, basic talking head, studio shot. But in order to do the whole thing, because this will be probably like about a 10-minute talk, and I'm probably going to use like 8 minutes of it or so that I'll cut out and use. So we can go up here into the text panel, and you've got transcript, and you've got create transcription right here. And so we can click on that, and then transcription details. It will just give the sequence name, which is, of course, the clip name. You could change the clip name, and that way it changes the name, what's up there. Tells you how long it's going to be, and that it will check the audio on track, and the language will be English, of course. And you can also tell it if you want to do only the in point to out point, which for a lot of times can be very handy. And recognize when different speakers are talking, which it kind of does that, but I'm the only person talking, so we'll skip that and just go ahead and click on the transcribe. Creating auto transcription, rendering audio data, initiating local transcription engine. When they first started this last year, it took your sequence out on the web, transcribed it, and then brought it back. And a lot of people were nervous about that, but they said they never kept it on there. They weren't interested at all in keeping it on their service. Well, look, there it's already done. They weren't interested in keeping it on their service. It was just that was where the work was done. They shipped it back onto your panel, and then it just dumped what was out there. Well, now it's a local transcription service, so it's actually loaded on the computer. And so now we look at what we've got here, and we have a transcription, and the paragraphs are kind of long, though. So let's go ahead and try the captions one and transcribe sequences. Well, the transcript one gets you something where you can get a transcription, and then it kind of tries to put it out into paragraphs sort of thing. So I don't use that all that much. The one I mostly use is this captions tab. And so we'll transcribe sequence, and it's the same dialogue, except watch what happens when I do this one. And again, it will initialize the local transcription engine transcribing, which will only take it a very short period of time for something this short. And now I'll go ahead and hit the create captions button here, and create from sequence transcript. Well, yeah, caption preset, subtitle default. And this is where you can go in if you have to use, like, say, for the Australian broadcast, or a 608 or 708 on the CEA ones, or the European Union subtitle or all. You can go in and you can set those. I'm just going to do with the standard one. You can create a style, which and they're by project, unfortunately. So being as I haven't created a style in this project yet, I don't have one available. So I can adjust it afterwards. And they've got
Is style like fonts, or what
that's
is
a
that?
font situation. Yeah, yeah, you have your font and maximum length in characters. I tend to pump this up to about 50, 51, something around in there. Minimum duration in seconds, 3 works fine. Gap between frames, nah, I don't really worry about it. And I typically do double lines. You can do single, but a lot of times I just go ahead and do double. And then create. And it says creating captions. And now notice we have all these yellow blocks on the top here. So I'm going to expand my timeline out with the plus key. And you can see as I expand the timeline out, in fact, let's go ahead and up that panel to full size.
You
And
can even read it. Wow.
read what is on each of those. And if you extend it out even more, you get the whole thing under there. So, and now come up here and I've not normally had to do anything with this because almost always it pops up into my screen when I'm playing. So let's.
Hello and welcome to
There
another
it is.
episode of Practical Premiere. Now, first thing we should probably get it handled.
Okay, so now that we have some transcriptions there, we can come in here and we can click on. Notice how I just clicked on the transcription track up here. And by the way, to turn this off, you notice that I was puzzled. I didn't see it at first because I didn't have anything there at first. When you're in between where you've got a yellow block, there's nothing on the screen. But once you've got it on the screen, now you can turn this visibility off and on with, of course, the track icon here, just like you can with the other tracks down below. And to adjust the font and everything, we just select one of these. And now, of course, that brings up the Essential Graphics panel off over here to the right. And notice I've got the fonts. So Minion Pro is not bad. Montserrat, I kind of tend to like to go more towards a serif. Myriad Pro, no, not really. Mongolian Balti. Yeah, let's try that one. Okay. Now, okay, so let's go ahead and what else should we do to this?
Can you put, is there a background? What if you have what if you have a scene that is, contrasting, has lights and darks where it's hard to read the text?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now we'll get to. Notice I moved, changed the size up here, and now this is the fill, so we can set the color of the text. So you can actually change the color of the text if we wanted to go to an intense red. Well, there you be. Let's go over here to a more of a pink. Yeah, let's go back to white. Now you want a background. We add a background box here and bring the opacity up. We can bring the size of the background box. Notice as I'm moving this one, I'm making the box bigger around it, or I can make it smaller so it shows less. And the opacity of the box. We have controls right there. So you can make sure that your uh, uh, text is seen. And yeah, you can even add shadow, drop shadow. Let's go. You'd have to add quite a bit for it to really be noticeable. So I don't normally do drop shadow with my captions, but some people do. You can do all of that. And then once you've done this, you can go up here to track style and notice, because I've made changes over here, you see the changes I've made. As soon as you make any changes, you come up here to the track style area, and you can see that there is an upward pointed arrow. And when you hover over it, it says push to track or style. And so you can do that and push to all captions on track. And now I have changed every caption on this track to that. And I can create style now, and we'll call that just test. And you notice that that is now covering every one of these. Now, notice the other thing is, as I'm moving down the timeline here, did you look up in this panel? I'm going to click in a different place in the timeline. See how that moves?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you got the little blue bar over here. Well, that shows you the active one. Now, you can also scroll down here, and you can click on that, and it moves the CTI or the playhead to the beginning of that clip. So you can go just click on one of those and move there on one of the ones up here in the box, or you can click down here and it moves. It's really spiffy to move back and forth. And then people want to know, well, can you edit it? Yeah, actually you can. Let's see. Oh, let's go right here. Now, you notice we have the text here.
Now, first thing we should probably get it handled here is, why should you trust me rather than anyone else you see on the YouTube or wherever else you go to look at these sorts of things?
Well, if you don't like the way it's arranged, you can just come in here and go, I want to change this. So I can just double click in there and say handled here. And I can come down here and double click and take out the change. And now let's go look at it.
Now, first thing we should probably get it handled here is, why should you trust me rather than anyone else you see on the YouTube or wherever?
Now, you notice it's put a comma after anyone else and then a capital. So it's actually split the sentence, and I didn't. So again, I can just double click in here and get my cursor there. I'll backspace to clear out the that, and then come over to this one, double click and wipe that out and put U in capitals. And so now
trust me rather than anyone else you see on the YouTube or wherever else you go to look at these sorts of things.
You can change the length of them. You can add stuff in. And there are, you can separate them out. You could add one if you got a break here and you wanted to extend something out, you can do that. So you've got a lot of things that you can do to it. And if you click on this little 3-bar menu button up here, you can export to an SRT file, which is a particular type of captions file that you sometimes need to submit with broadcast or online things. Export to a text file. This is the one that I was commenting about earlier that is very handy when you are just wanting to edit. You've got 6 people that have been interviewed for an online web explainer for some company or whatnot, and most of their comments are repeat. They say the same thing 3 times in a row, trying to get it in a coherent form, and you want to go through that and pick out the parts you actually want to use. Well, if you export to text file, you get a printout of this box, And then you can take that with you and again mark the points you want, and you've got the time markings on them so that you can go right to where it is that you want to go. Because you notice on the left side here, those are time markings for this sequence. So that's really handy. You also have a CSV file, which is a comma separated file for a different kind of uh, thing. You have check spelling and spell check settings. The language, English Canada? No, no, let's go English United States. And dictionary. You can enter words here if you wanted to learn a word. Like a lot of times, if people are talking about technical stuff, whether it's baking or engineering or even some things in teaching or especially color or video work, you'll have technical terms that aren't in their dictionary, so their language doesn't, their language system doesn't pick it up. But you can enter words in here so that you can tell it that okay, um, this technocrat. If they didn't have technocrat in there, you could put technocrat in there. Or if OOTF, and you say OOTF, which is an optical outlook transform, OOTF. You could say, well, you got an OOTF here, and it's going to really freak it when you say OOTF. So you add OOTF in here, and you probably will have a much better job of getting your transcript done. So that is, oh, did I just, I'll bet I, oh no, it did take the United States. So that is, in a nutshell, there's a lot more you can go into when you want to get into detail on it. But in a nutshell, that is what this thing does. Now you also have the graphics section here where
I've got a quick question about that spell check, which is great, by the way. I assume that it will save those. It's just going to be saved and across all projects.
My understanding is that sets when you set up that dictionary, it sets up in your Premiere Pro program files. It adds it into there. Good. So that is saved across all projects that you would do. Yeah. Yeah. And then again, because you have the ability to click on something and then come over here and use all of the essential graphics, you can really gussy up your captions, and it's quite a spiffy process. I've used it a heck of a lot, and really quite pleased with it. So
I'm definitely going to have to play with this because, yeah, it would be awesome to be able to edit down, use it to edit down some of our programs, for instance, and make them tighter and usable on for shorter YouTube explainers and things. That's great.
Oh, and I just thought I would kick in here if anybody's wondering why you're not seeing Mo with us today. Mo is unfortunately rather under the weather. He's having headaches and body aches and is just feeling like a piece of used meat kind of thing. So he's
send positive thoughts to Mo today.
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple of days ago, they were out and they went out and we saw some pics where they went around the Cape Town area. Of course, Cape Town is a seaside town, and they're right off the southern Atlantic Ocean, and there's some spectacular scenery around Cape Town. And they went out, and we had some really interesting pictures of little Afsana. They're 15-month-old, something like that, out toddling around in the water. She loves being out in the sand and the waves along the edge of the shore, and then of course beautiful shots of the scenery of the Cape Town area, and that was really nice. And he was feeling really good then. And then like the next day he was going, I'm not feeling so good. And then yesterday it was, I'm feeling pretty bad. And today, oh my God, I'm awful. So yeah.
Well, that's the way life goes. But thank you so much for joining us. This has been fun and great information, Neil. We are going to share this for sure.
Mm-hmm. Have fun with it. It is really slick, easy to use, and man, you can do so much with it.